Alyx and Scott, obviously when you were in college, you had a number of different career choices ahead of you. What made you decide to pursue a graduate degree in political science? Alyx, why don't we start with you first?
Okay, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to these undergraduate students and, soon to be thinking about grad school. For me, I really blame a couple of incredibly influential professors for my decision to go to graduate school. I almost feel I was tricked with my love of quantitative methodology and research at my undergraduate institution, and really my decision to go to graduate school was fueled by the fact that I wasn't done learning, and I wasn't done learning for the sake of learning, and there were a lot of questions that I still was very interested in answering, and I thought that graduate school was just a really healthy outlet for exploring those questions. So, yeah.
Okay, Scott?
Sure. Well, also thank you very much for having me and for this opportunity. So I became really interested in graduate school and a PhD in particular during my study abroad, and I was living at the time in Israel and doing field research, and being out with people and really seeing how politics works from the ground up was really interesting to me and something I wanted to get deeper into when I had the chance. So I wrote a senior thesis in my senior year of college that went really well, and from there I was working in the policy world a little bit, but there was sort of a little bit more that I wanted to be able to understand. I really wanted to get sort of a broader perspective and to also have the opportunity to travel and do some of the work that we do specifically in comparative politics. So I guess that was sort of the reason I decided to go back to grad school. But I think also just echoing what Alyx said, the opportunity to learn even more about politics and to get an even wider basis, I think is a really important motivation for anyone looking into this kind of a path forward.
How did the two of you put together your list of schools that you were going to apply to, and what were the differences that you found between the different schools, and how did you end up why did you end up making the choice you made? Alyx?
So for me, I think that it was a lot about talking to my advisors. Often you'll find that your discipline or what you're interested in studying in graduate school, it's a really small community or a small world. You'll be surprised at how many people your advisors or faculty at your own school know. So I took a lot of advice and suggestions from my advisors when I was looking into schools and sort of explored the people that they were co-authoring with and the people that they were going to graduate school with, and then sought advice from those people as well to sort of gather a list of about 10 different schools that I was interested in, because as we all know, applying to more than 10 graduate schools gets pretty expensive. So I had this list of schools, and then what else was kind of interesting was, I'm picking them all because they're strong in the field that I'm interested in, but the dynamics at each program can be very different. So it's also, I think, important to find a program that has a cohort size or your incoming class size that is manageable to you. So at GW, there's a small cohort of American politics students, which is nice because we get more one-on-one time with faculty members. But maybe it's more important to you to have like a wide selection of friends in your class so that you can bounce ideas off of more people. So I was really paying attention to sort of cohort size and collegiality in the departments as well, and I found that that varied greatly from department to department.
Okay, Scott?
Sure. So I guess just to add to that, I would say I think some of the considerations that you may think about with a grad school will be slightly different than in your college application process. So like Alyx said, looking for a program that has strength in your particular area of interest. So GW has very close contact with the Elliott School of International Affairs, which has some very strong scholars on the Middle East. So that was really important to me. But then also just considerations of if you're interested in living in a city, if that's the place where you are able to kind of find a lifestyle that complements grad school, or if you prefer to be in a more rural or less busy area. But I think it's important to think about this as an holistic decision. So obviously, academics is the most important thing, and you want to get into a competitive program that's going to train you to be competitive in the field once you graduate. But at the same time, it's important to realize that whether you're going to a 2-year master's program or a 5, 6, 7, 8-year PhD, that it's a lifestyle. And so it's important to think about those other considerations as well.
Okay. Before I turn over the questioning to our members, I just have one other question. What do the two of you plan to do with your degrees? Karina? Excuse me, Alyx?
So for me, I really do want to teach, and I'm not just saying that because we're hanging out with undergrads, but I feel that undergraduate education is very important to me, and I mentioned this earlier, but I had some really important experiences in undergrad that led me down this path, and I feel that it is important for other undergrads to have similar experiences, to have those professors that are super excited about what they're doing. So I hope to teach, but I also feel that my dissertation topic is going to keep me at least slightly rooted in the policy process of civil legal assistance. So I hope to do a little bit of both.
Okay. Scott?
I think that's also the direction I'm looking to go as well. And I think the connection between academics and the policy world is an area that you really appreciate the importance of living in somewhere like Washington, D.C., where you have a lot of very smart academics, a lot of smart policy analysts, but not as much communication between them as we would like. So whatever I'm going to do in my future career, I'd like it to be sort of at that nexus and really bridging the gap between the academic world and looking at these big questions and literature that's been written about literally thousands of different cases and lots of competing theories and peer-reviewed work on the one hand,